Hello, everybody. I'm Jonathan from Born Sated, and today I want to talk about something a little different. Well, it's not really that different. So, in Pathfinder 2, one of the things you can do is you can cast rituals. They got rid of some spells and made them into rituals because it makes more sense to have them be rituals. Things like resurrections, heroes' feasts, creation spells of making of making undead, making a living creature, animate objects, things like that. Because most of these things are going to be permanent, which means that they should take more time, have more effort put into them. And it's a cool concept, but at the same time, it does feel slightly optional. So what I want to do right now is I want to talk about how you do ritual casting. The first thing about ritual casting is you don't get rituals for free. If you have the ability to, if you're high enough level to be able to use the ritual, that's how you get the ritual. You do not have to be a caster in order to use the ritual. You just have to be able to meet what the normal spell casting level would be. So as an example, if you had a ritual level 2, you need to be at least a third level character, because a third level character can learn second level spells. So how does ritual casting work? Because ritual casting, in all but one case, at least from what I've read in the two main books being the Player's Guide and the Advanced Player's Guide, all but one of them require secondary casters. So the way the entry works for it is it tells you what the skill choice of the primary caster needs to be. So as an example, for Resurrection, you need to be able to, you have to do a religion check in order to have them for the main caster. So the primary caster has to do a religion check. The religion check has to be at a minimum level. I believe the minimum level for that is expert, or it might be master. I don't remember. I think it might, it doesn't really make that big of a difference. You can read the entry for what it says. Expert, master, legendary. It's going to be one of those. Now, this will require you to do a skill check based on that skill, but first we have to go over the secondary casters bit. For Resurrection, you have 2 secondary casters. It will have a listed set of skills that the secondary casters need to use. Obviously, whoever is going to have the better version will use it. As an example, for Resurrection, I know one of them needs to be casting Medicine, and I don't remember what the third one is off the top of my head. So you would have each person make these rolls. First, the secondary caster makes the rolls. If they succeed at the roll, then they don't add or subtract to it. If they critically succeed at the roll, they add 2 to the primary caster's check. If they fail at the roll, they subtract from the primary caster's check. And if they critically fail at the roll, they take away, I think, 4 from the primary caster's check. It's 2 and 4, I think, is the minuses. But it's a very big negative effect that happens if the secondary casters fail. So there's multiple secondary casters for most of them. The highest is 4 secondary casters. Most of them are either 1 or 2 secondary casters to be able to get off these rituals. The other thing, of course, about rituals is their time. The shortest rituals are usually an hour. A lot of rituals they take a day, and the longest rituals can take up to a week. So once the secondary casters have made their checks, whether they pass or fail, then the primary caster has to make their checks. Now, what level are the checks? Because this is the contentious part. The secondary casters have to make a basic check at the level of the spell cast. So, as an example, if you were going to be doing a 5th level ritual, you need to therefore make a 10th level skill check, because 10th level character is basically what level you would probably be doing this. So the way that it's written is you double the level of the ritual, and that's what level skill check you need to make. So if you pass, you don't hurt or hinder the main caster. Everything's going fine, but at the same time, making skill checks in this edition, if you're not really good at them, is very difficult. They've really made it so that unless you are very good at a specific skill check, it's very difficult to pass them. As an example, if you wanted to try to make a standard skill check is, let's go with this. At 10th level, the standard skill check is, I believe, a 32 DC. So at 10th level, you need to make a 32 DC. Well, what are you going to add to that? You're adding 10 because you're a 10th level character, plus you're adding your stat modifier, plus you're adding how good you are at the skill. So let's say you're an expert, so that's +4. Let's say that you've got a +3 in the stat, so that's 17. So that's very difficult to make that skill check. And I think, thinking about it again, I think 10th level is 28. But even so, that's an expert, you're very good at it, and you need an 11 to even pass the skill check. This is going to be consistent as you continue to level up. The primary caster has a more difficult time, because the primary caster has to make a very hard skill check to pass. Now, the wording says that usually the difficulty will be a very hard skill check, so it is up to the GM if the GM wants to make it easier, but there's a reason why these rituals are hard to get off, and that's because they're rituals, and a lot of them have very, very powerful effects. So, for example, something we were looking at earlier is if we wanted to cast a 9th level ritual. The 9th level ritual has a DC of 38 for the basic skill check. So therefore, the primary skill has to make a DC 43, because very hard increases the difficulty by 5. And that's one of the other main points that we have to bring up about these rituals, because especially things like resurrection, you have to cast the ritual at a high enough level for it to affect the character you want to resurrect, or to affect whatever ability you want to go off in order for that to happen. So the biggest problem with rituals in general is the fact that they are very difficult to get off because these skill checks are so hard to go for. If you want to take a look at the skill check lists, they are obviously in the player's handbook. Even easier is if you do have the GM screen. The GM screen has all of them listed, and so you can look at all the lists of what the difficulties are at every level. But we were going to make a list of the most useful rituals, and the problem with making that list is you've got which ones are the best, but you then also have to take into consideration how easy it is to cast those rituals. And if you aren't specifically good at getting off those rituals because you have the correct skills, some of them are nearly impossible to do. If you are very good, you have a 30 or 40% chance to get off some of these rituals at appropriate level. If you use some of the rituals that don't level up and you want to just use some of those low-level ones, like Hero's Feast, which stays as a level 5 ritual no matter what level you are, then as you get a very high level, it's very easy to get off. But appropriate level feasts, appropriate level abilities with appropriate level power levels are very difficult to get off with ritual casting. And overall, I don't know if they really put enough thought into how ritual casting was going to work, because I can tell you right now for our game, we've kind of been ignoring it. And unless we really want to take the time, we're probably going to continue to do so. Sorry about a little bit of the rambling there, but rituals are a little contentious for some of these things, and it is what it is. So if you've got any other questions, or if you want me to clarify anything, please let me know. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a good day, and I'll see you guys next time.